NBA playoffs round 2 is finally here. We have our first round 2 matchup tonight on Saturday in the Western Conference between the Timberwolves and Nuggets. Game 1, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown about the side, the total, player props, look at the regular season matchups, even last year's playoff series. Don't forget these two teams played in April a year ago. I'm going to let you know how to play Game 1 here and make some money free for you in just a moment. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, back here on WagerTalk TV, breaking down Game 1, Round 2, Western Conference semifinals, Timberwolves Nuggets. Should be a great matchup all series long. Denver currently a 2-1 favorite to win this series, minus 200. Take back around plus 170 on the Timberwolves. As we check Game 1 here, we'll see that Denver is a 4.5-point favorite to win against the point spread, but they're only minus 185 on the money line, so they're actually a slightly smaller money line favorite in Game 1 than the overall series. If you use pure power ratings for the season, many metrics I look at actually have Minnesota as the better team. In fact, if you look at the overall net rating, they come out about a half a point ahead. If you look at opponents played and allowed, points scored against opponents' averages, Minnesota also comes out about a point ahead on a neutral court. Now, both teams have been shorthanded at times. Minnesota's actually probably been more shorthanded, especially with Karl Anthony Towns missing the last several meetings in the head-to-head series here. So on the surface, I do think 4.5 is too high. Using pure numbers for the full season, you get about a 2.5-point line. So we're paying about an extra premium in basket here, which is a little surprising considering that the Timberwolves are coming off a perfect 4-0 sweep of Phoenix in which they covered all 4 games in the first round. Normally you get value fading teams like that, but that's not the case here. The market is still underpricing the Timberwolves, and for that reason, I'm going to stay off the side in this one. I do have an opinion for you in the total, which I'm going to get to in a moment, but just want to point out, I do think the situation favors Denver probably at home in the altitude in Game 1, but the line value favors Minnesota, so that's going to keep me off the side here. I don't fully trust the young, inexperienced Timberwolves team against the veteran world champion Nuggets, but then again, Denver didn't look like world beaters in their 5-game series against the Lakers. In fact, they only covered one of the 3 home games against the spread, and that was when they pulled ahead and won by 11 in Game 1 after trailing in the first half. And of course, they had a 20-point deficit in the second half of Game 2 at home, came back for the last second 2-point win, and even their clinching game last week, earlier in the week, only a 2-point non-covering win against the Lakers once again, and I have Minnesota rated as the better team, the much better defensive team. In fact, Minnesota is the most efficient defense in the NBA this season. Denver ranks around 8th. However, Denver has a huge offensive edge. Their 5th most efficient offense. Minnesota's only 17th. So we do get the better defensive team as a dog here. Once again, a lot of metrics lining up for Minnesota, including line value, but I'm going to stay off the side just because it does concern me to fade the world champs at home in Game 1. And these teams did play last year in the first round. And keep in mind, Denver won that series 4 games to 1. They had a 3-0 lead after winning Game 3 at Minnesota. T-Wolves covered and won outright as a 4-point dog in Game 4. And then Denver got it done in Game 5. But once again, a non-covering win last year in Game 5, winning by only 3 as a whopping 10-point favorite. They did cover both Games 1 and 2 last year. Barely covered Game 2. They won by 9. That closing line was 8.5 in a lot of spots. But if you look at Game 1 last year, you'll see that they're also an 8-point favorite. They won easily by 29. So the one game which they blew out Minnesota was Game 1 in this series last year. So I'm staying off the side, but I do think the point spread is too high. Might actually find some value depending on the Game 1 result in Game 2. So we're going to take a wait-and-see approach here before pulling the trigger on the side. As far as the total, I do lean under in this game. Total currently 207.5, pretty much in all locations. Open to 209, down to 207.5. Now, this is a lean only on the total because I like the situation for the under. The problem is, once again, the line value has been zapped. NBA games averaged around 228 points this year. Using all NBA games, opponents played, points for and against for both these teams would be about 12 points below average offensively and defensively combined. 2 very good defenses. And once again, they held their opponents in check. Would get you to about 216. Now, obviously, the NBA games have been a little scoring the last few months, and playoff games are lower scoring in general, so let's take it down to 213, 212. And then rested teams in Game 1, especially Class A teams like this, there are some trends at angles that favor the under. So we could take that down a few more baskets to maybe 209. But as you see, even taking it down several baskets for the favorable situation still only gets you in the 209 range. So 207 has pretty much been priced to perfection. With that said, though, I still like the under. It's the only way I would play this game because both teams are well rested. Minnesota is the most efficient defense in the league this year. And if you look at possessions and also pace, these are two of the bottom teams as well. In fact, in possessions this year in the 82 regular season games, Denver Nuggets 28th out of 30th, the third fewest possessions in the league. Minnesota in the bottom half as well. And then we look at pace this year. Minnesota 23rd slowest team. Denver the 26th slowest team. 5th slowest in the entire NBA. T-Wolves the 8th slowest. So once again, two Class A teams, well-rested, Game 1 focus and intensity. We do often see these Class A teams play low-scoring games. We saw it last year, as I mentioned. The Game 1 was a blowout for Denver, but it still stayed well under. Last year, the total was 225 in Game 1. It landed at 189. Obviously, this total is now 18 points lower, but even last year with a 225, it only landed 189. Look at the regular season meetings here this year. It doesn't help us too much, and I'm going to dig into those here in a moment. But once again, I do lean under 207.5. I like the situation, but unfortunately, they've done a very good pricing it lower than it probably should be based on the overall power ratings this season. All right, these teams, as I mentioned, played 5 times last year in the postseason. Denver won 4 of the 5, but they didn't always blow them out. By the way, the totals in those games last year, 225, 21, 23, 22, and 220 in Game 5. So you can see the 207.5 is much lower. Regular season meetings this year, they played back on November 1st, and that was really the only game in which both teams had all their superstars. In fact, it was the only game of the 4. And Minnesota won that game rather easily at home on November 1st. By 21 points. They, of course, had the revenge playoff angle. I think the Nuggets maybe overlooked them a bit. Denver was actually a 2-point road favorite in that game, and they were down by 19 points at the half. It really wasn't much of a game. Karl Anthony Towns, it's the only game he played this year in the 4 against the Nuggets. He had 21 points, 7 and 19 shooting. Edwards was 8 for 16 with 24 points, led the way. Denver had all their key players. Jokic had 25 and 10 with 3 assists, only 3 assists. But he took 23 shot attempts. Jamal Murray was only 5 for 16 with 14 points in that game. Porter Jr., 2 for 11, only 5 points, but he did take a lot of shot attempts, including 0 for 5 from 3. His point total is at 18.5 for this Game 1. He had 19 or more in all 5 games against the Lakers, 19 or more in all 5, and he's at 18.5 here. And although he, in that Game 1 back in November, he only got to 5 points. He was 2 for 11 shooting. If he takes a lot of shots, which I think he will, he has a chance of getting over 18.5. All right, let's look at the other games now. These other 3 games don't help us much from the regular season because, once again, both teams were missing players at one point or the other. Anthony Towns missed all 3 of the remaining games for Minnesota. Gobert also missed this game, too, as well. So we can't take too much away from Denver's 115-112 revenge win. Once again, they didn't cover. They were a 7.5-point road favorite against the shorthanded T-Wolves, missing 2 of their 3 best players, and Denver still only managed a 3-point win. Probably not a good sign going forward. By the way, Porter Jr. did bounce back in that game with 26 points. Yet another reason I think there could be some upside with him. Let's look at Game 3. By the way, that Game 2 took place in Minnesota on March 19th, so it was fairly recent. But once again, Anthony Towns was out for those March games. He was also out for the March 29th meeting in which Minnesota got their revenge, 111-98 at Denver as a 3-point road dog. One of the reasons that line was fairly short is because Jamal Murray did not play for the Nuggets. Jokic, once again, a double-double with 32 and 10, but only 5 assists. Going back to that second meeting, Jokic had 35 and 16 and only 2 assists. So you'll notice he got double-doubles easy, nowhere close on the assists. So I'd be very careful with Jokic for some reason not getting as many assists against Minnesota. Not a surprise, though. The best, most efficient defensive team in the league, so it's going to be hard to take some player props over in general in Game 1. Michael Porter was only 5 for 10 in that third game with 14 points. And then the most recent meeting, April 10th, near the end of the regular season, Nuggets got back on track with a 116-107 win as a 7.5-point home favorite. They barely covered. They were only up by 3 going into the fourth quarter. In fact, they were losing outright by 3 at halftime. So that's another reason why I think the 4.5 is a bit high here for Game 1. I like the situation for Denver, but once again, they did not exactly blow Minnesota away this year, and the line does look inflated. Once again, in that recent game on April 10th, Minnesota did not have Anthony Towns for the third straight game. Anthony Edwards had 25 points, was 2 for 6 from 3, but 9 for 18 from the field. Gobert had 13. And once again, without Karl Anthony Towns, I'd be careful taking too much away from that box score. Denver, meanwhile, Jokic, once again, 41 and 11, but did not get the assist, 7 assists. So he got there more with the assist, but not anywhere near a triple-double. Porter Jr. 7 for 14 with 18 points, getting closer to what his total is for this one. Jamal Murray did return. He was 8 for 13 with 20 points. Aaron Gordon's got to keep an eye on. That most recent meeting, he was only 2 for 7, 0 for from three-point range. He only had 7 points in each of the last 2 games against the Lakers. He's at 13.5, so maybe a little bit too pricey there for Aaron Gordon. Once again, hopefully you find this useful. We're going to take a deep dive in every playoff game as I do throughout the series. Now that we have less games each day, today, Saturday, just one game, tomorrow, Sunday, Game 7, Magic Cavs. Be sure to check back tomorrow and Sunday. I'll have a full breakdown for our first and only Game 7 in round 1. And then we have some more Game 1 starting next week. We have the series set, Dallas at OKC, and also, of course, Indiana at New York. What's interesting is that Game 2, Minnesota-Denver, will take place next week before Game 1 in the Boston series against either the Cavs or Magic even takes place. So we'll have 2 games in this series before Boston's Game 1 takes place next week. That's just how the playoffs roll. Both these teams have been off for 4 and 5 days each. That's why I do lean under 207.5, because I think they'll be well rested and they're 2 really good defensive teams and the pace will be fairly slow. But once again, the odds makers have done a good job pricing both the side and total in this game. Hey, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the side and total. Let me know what player props you're looking at. Jokic points over could be worth a look, but once again, I lean under in the game. So I'm hesitant to use too many player props over for that reason. Jokic assist under, if you can find that prop, could be worth a look. As I mentioned, he underperformed in most of those games. Even though Murray played in all but one, his assist numbers weren't quite there, but his points and rebounds were. So if you could find a book that offers assist only on Jokic, I'm seeing right now around 8.5 at FanDuel and DraftKings. He did have 9 or more in 4 straight games against the Lakers, but keep in mind the Lakers are a much weaker defensive team than the T-Wolves and much lower totals here. So Jokic under 8.5 to 9 assists, I think could be worth a look if you're looking for a little sprinkle on a Jokic prop. Double-double, I think he'll get there. He got there with rebounds and points in all 4 games, but did not get there with any triple-doubles in the game. So once again, assists under the 9 to 8.5 to 9 would also correlate with probably no triple-double if your book offers a 2-way bet on that one. Okay, I hope you found this useful. By the way, no triple-double would be about minus 185 if you can find it. If you did find this useful, do me a couple quick favors. Thumbs up, like, and comment below. I've done every playoff game every day for the entire playoffs, and I will continue to do so if you're finding these videos useful. So please comment below and let me know if you want to see them for the second round here of the playoffs. Also, don't forget my personal best bets are available on WagerTalk.com. 2 weeks in now. The playoffs started 2 weeks ago, Saturday, April the 20th. We are 20-9 on all sports, basketball and baseball, over the past 2 weeks. We don't win every day, but we win the majority of the time, and we have cashed big so far this postseason. And it's no surprise. I was ranked number 1 all year long in the NBA units won this season, and I'm number 1 all-time units won in the history of the NBA at WagerTalk.com. And great playoffs over the years has been a large part of that, including a fantastic start this year to the NBA postseason. Don't forget, if you want the rest of the playoffs, you can get a special price for this weekend. Normally it's $165, but if you use promo code PLAYOFFS, you get it down to $135. It's on the right side of the page. Use the drop-down basketball menu, and you'll see the rest of the season. Was $195. We bumped it down to $165. Promo code PLAYOFFS gets it down to $135 at checkout. If you want my baseball and basketball best bets every day, this weekend's your last chance to buy 7, get 11. 7-day package is $99, but if you buy it this weekend, you get an extra 4 days included for free. That's 11 days for $99. It works out to just $9 a day, just a few dollars per play. No promo code needed for that one. It's on my main page, right below the daily best bets, below the daily free play. You'll see the buy 7, get 11 promo, which is good through this weekend. And then once again, if you want to start taking a serious, long-term, consistent investment approach, highly consider my All Sports All Access 1-year special. Instant $800 discount this weekend with promo code SM365. That also is on the right side. All Sports drop-down menu. Get the Big Daddy, the 1-year All Sports special. And at checkout, use promo code SM365 for an instant $800 discount. Works out to just $3 a day, just about $1 a play for every college and pro football, college and pro basketball, and Major League Baseball for the next 365 days and nights. Use promo code SM365 for an instant $800 discount on the 1-year All Access. Don't forget, those free plays are there as well. Great way to build your bankroll. Free plays daily on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. Follow me on Twitter and X as well, at Steve Merril. 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter and X. Also post replays throughout the week on Instagram, so follow me on IG along with WagerTalk. And comment below. I do truly read all the comments. I've been trying to reply back. I try to reply to all of them, but I read all of them. I reply back. I love the support. What are your thoughts on this series? Who do you like to win the series? Who do you like to win game one? Throw in those player props. Throw in some analysis if you have time. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. I honestly believe we have the sharpest and smartest viewers here right on WagerTalk TV. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We have over 151,000 subscribers here on WagerTalk TV, and it's growing every day. Become part of the family for free. Thumbs up, like, and I'll keep doing the videos. And click the bell when you subscribe if you'd like instant alerts when this daily NBA playoff video goes up each and every day here on the channel. Like, subscribe, and comment below. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV for some more great baseball and basketball previews coming up next.